You will believe in yourself today. That's the title of a message that I have on my site, anyadvicefortoday.com, which I'll share with you, but I want to explain it to you. The only difficulty that you experience in your life is really that, is not believing in who you are. Now, that could have come about for many different reasons. You haven't discovered it, you haven't lived it, or you've been afraid of it. Because that's really one that we all move through. Because when we come into the world, we don't know who we're going to become. So it's this journey we have to take into this unknown of who we are, but also this unknown in our world, and we have to find our place. And it can be challenging. It was challenging for me, which is why I can talk about it. But also, I have the solution for that, and I can say that as well. Because I know that you can live this incredible life, and I created the plan for you to be able to do that. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to struggle. You can prosper. You can have everything that you want. The only difficulty will be believing in yourself because you have to work through everything that you've told yourself for years and years and years about why you couldn't do it or why you couldn't become the person that was going to change the world. Why is that? It's because your consciousness was programmed to believe something less than what was accurate. We're all born as equal souls when we come into the world, but we have different paths that we're meant to take. And that's also the difficulty because it's going to be unique for you. Mine was incredibly unique, and it was even challenging for me to accept it and believe it as it might be for you. We live in our consciousness to experience everything in our world and our consciousness, which is formed energetically. Just that's just how we all operate as humans and how our world operates as well. But finding your individual way is going to be determined by how much you can believe about yourself and how much you can let go of what was old, meaning what you thought about yourself that was old, and also what existed in our world, this collective consciousness that told us we couldn't do something. Because that's what we're moving through now in our world. And I know this because that's the work that I've been given. But believing that was really challenging because it was so surprising. That's what was happening. That what will happen for you because there are no limits to what we can create or what we can do except the ones that we set for ourselves, except the ones that we begin to believe. And again, it can be challenging, but mine was really a little difficult because I created something and my life was meant to bring in a new philosophy that could help any person who uses it become brilliant, become the magnificent person that is within them. And I know that they can do that because it works. I sat down every day for 35 years, more than that now, and I received cosmic guidance saying that every single person born has worth and value, and all they have to do is uncover all the blockages that prevented them from getting there. My work, I called it an ascension guide because that's what came through in all of the sessions, and you'll hear a little bit of that. But I have a gift for you. And what I'm saying is that we will change over time in our consciousness, and it's individual for each person, except what I've developed is something that's very universal. So that's why I always say it works for anyone. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you've done, because your consciousness never stops. You have potential that is unlimited. But if you look at this one, and then I'm going to show you, and I'm going to put a couple of links in this video, but I'll just tell you here, if you go to um, February 19th, there's another message there. This is on my site, anyadvicefortoday.com, and I'll put a link there, but it's called Accepting This Message Will Change Your Life and the World. You see, because I knew that the world was moving through a big change, and so the more people who would start to love themselves and come to understand who they are and accept that, then we would have a very different world. But also, the individual, the person who uses this, you're going to be great. You're going to understand who you are. And I can say all these things because I've been through the process, so I do know how it happens. And you come to this understanding of who you are, and then you start prospering. You start doing different things. You move through your fears, your doubts, your depression, your fear of failure, all of that stuff. And I can prove it to you because I've done it, and that's what I'm giving to everyone. I'm talking about it today because I'm making some changes tomorrow. I haven't finished because it was kind of unbelievable that I spent all this time creating this work, but I haven't put it all together because I've been testing it for the last 4 years and I wanted to see what would happen. And I experienced this incredible healing that I'm going to give to everyone else, those who want it, because I know what we can accomplish as individuals, and I also know what we can accomplish in our world. Because we just have to move through all the lower vibrational things that we thought about ourselves and that we've put into the collective consciousness, and then we see something very different. But this is the first thing that you should see, and I'm going to explain it a little bit to you. And it is this. When you go to anyadvicefortoday.com, you will see this message. You will believe in yourself today. And what that means is that I'm going to take you through a journey. And the journey happened every August 13th since 2012. And as you read each message, you will see that it's getting you in touch with something about you, something that you couldn't understand about yourself, why you had this emotional reaction to something. And I love the first one. Your experience of jealousy is meant to urge you to become more or expand, meaning we're always going to look at other people and think they have more than us, and that's never true either. So, but then when we recognize that, we can start to change it, which we do in our consciousness, and then we can accept more of who we are. It's just an individual journey you're on. Then the next one, the value of anything does not exist. And you will get that too, because we place value on things in this world that have nothing to do with who we are as individuals, but we use that and then we keep believing it. So when we change that, then we start to know and understand our value. You have indeed been living the plight of the phoenix, and that's a really interesting one because many times in life we think that we are just going through everything and this is horrible, but then we discover something and then we start to rise like the phoenix. Everyone has the ability to do that. Then another one, you would do well to decide to hold everyone harmless, especially yourself, so that you might gain more clarity about making a decision that will affect the direction of your physical life experience. Again, all of these will make sense for you as you move through them, but I'm going to leave two links for you, a couple of links, because I've done this many times because I get directed by Wilhelm to give us more information over time because what happens is we don't understand it all at once. And you can read through all of them. Then at the end, there is a recording. And as you listen to the recording, I'm going to play a little bit of it here so you'll have it. The recording was done more than a year ago, but you'll listen to it and it'll sound like, wow, this seems like it came through today because I receive information in a different way precognitively. This is how I was able to heal, how I was able to put together this information. And you will hear in that session how I was given this encyclopedia. When you think about personal development or ascension or self-actualization, those are all thoughts and ideas. Well, I was given that information and I combined them all, and that's what's in my work, which is why it changes your life and why it transforms you into becoming the person you're meant to be and live the life you're meant to have. Now, it doesn't matter, again, who you are, what you've done, and what you haven't done, because it's never over. As long as you're still alive, there's more that you could possibly do, unless you want to retire and not do anything. I'm 73, and I'm going to be retiring now with this because I have to finish the rest of the work. I have so many, and you'll see this, I have so many. I've received so much information I could create different books, and that's what I'm going to spend my time doing. But I also have to finish putting all this work into my program, and that's what I'm doing. Everyone's not going to do this because we don't like looking at ourselves, and some people will continue to struggle. And I can say that because I've done it, but I'm saying to you, you never have to do that because I've created the plan, and you can become happy, prosperous, have great relationships, and love yourself, and do everything that you want if you understand who you are and work through all the things that have told you you couldn't do it. And that's what this work has done. And then the wonderful thing that happens, you may experience it when you experience physical mind body healing. Yeah, I've done that as well. And that's what's in this work. And then you might connect to your higher self as well, because I'm guiding people to do that, because the more that we can know that we're on this earth for a reason, then we feel better about who we are. We can make different choices. I'm going to play a little bit of this, but I advise you to go to my site, rogerburnley.com. You can find everything there. And because I will be changing this in the next day, it's always going to be open. But like I said, the price is going to be quite different because it's going to include everything that you would ever need for the rest of your life. And I can say that because I know that it's true. And to have the life that I have lived. And this is why a lot of times when people say, well, no, I've had all these terrible things. No, you haven't. You have not had that. You've just had things you didn't understand. Because, see, I've been through all the terrible things. And I know that once you traverse that, you have this great life. And that's what every single soul is meant to do. I just happen to be the person to develop something that I could give to you so that you can accomplish it for yourself, and then you'll do something to give it to others as well. That's how we all evolve. But please check out everything. Also, if you've not been here before, please subscribe to this channel and share it with others, because I'm going to be making some big changes, and I want people to take advantage of this now. It was it's something for me to accept, to believe in myself that I had create I created, I downloaded, let's just say it that way, this transformational work that I know can take any person to their best life. And there is nothing better than to have the feeling to know that your life has mattered and you made a difference. And before you leave this earth, you're going to know that it's going to become better because of your existence. And I can say that now, but I know you will be able to say the same thing once you do this work and become your authentic self. That's all we ever want. Thank you so much, and we are ready to begin. We cannot tell you how happy we are to have you here today. And as we always say, we've been waiting for you your entire lives. Many of you have not understood that, but you will understand it today on a much deeper level. We never give you anything accidentally, and you are not an accident, and you are meant to be here, and you are meant to hear this at this time in your life, at this time on your evolutionary journey. We said that today you will recognize your value. And why would we say today? Because it's a very powerful new moon. And why would we have this being here on this time giving you this information? When you understand your connection to all that is, we use that term often because we don't want you to use anything that causes you to separate yourselves from source, from who you are, who you're meant to be. Each of you come into the world at specific times, at the right time for your life, which is why we gave you the message that we did today, which said you're on the right track, you're on the right path, you have a divine plan, and it was showing up here at this momentous time on your planet so you could help your planet ascend. We said we have given you an ascension journey. Now we wanted to show you how you all evolve as humans. You all do the same thing. We've given you many messages say you all evolve the same way and you achieve success the same way. It's through your consciousness. It's through how much you are willing to accept who you are, who you have become. Every message that we have given you, and we've had our messenger give you over this last week, if you were to go back and read them all, you will see how we led you to this time. But what we did today, we put one up where we said you were on the right track, and then we showed you how we gave you messages over the years when we first started guiding you in this particular ascension that you're all moving through, which we have called your restructuring, because you're building something new, and the only way you can build something new is if you do that within yourself. Meaning, when you decide to honor who you are, honor your life purpose. Now, we know that many of you have been judging yourselves and things you didn't do or haven't done yet. Please let that go. You're holding things back. See, you came to bring in something new, to bring in this new world, moving into the age of Aquarius. We gave you a philosophy. We gave you a new philosophy for your world, and we called it your life operating instructions, because we said you're not going to be able to move into the life that you want to have or the world that you want to create unless you understand your importance and can accept it. But it is a process, and we laid it out in the years, because we have to use your linear time. Even though we don't operate in that way, we can see everything that is happening, which is why we can answer all of your questions, and we'll get to many of those today, because we do know, we feel that so many of you have had them because you're afraid, you don't understand what's happening, and we're telling you you're here to do something wonderful, and it is within you. Each one of you have something that you meant to bring to the world, and it's an energetic contribution that you will make when you decide to love yourself, when you decide to understand that everything that you thought you did wrong before was your learning process. You're always in the process of learning, just as your planet is doing now, but you don't get there all at once. And sometimes you hold yourselves back because you don't believe in your importance. This is why we wanted you to use certain words, your value. You don't know what that is necessarily, but you have gained it by everything you have done in your life. Now, there are many of you who are much younger who will think, well, I don't understand what that is. That's because you're not recognizing your consciousness. You all exist in consciousness, and there's different levels, let's say, and there's different levels of awareness. Now, we're speaking to you because we know that you are the people who would hear us, and you could make the greatest difference. As you examine your world today, we've told you, and we're bringing this up because we want you to understand, because we need you to give up your self-judgment. Because see, everything that is happening in your world, we've told you would happen. We've told you over the last several years specifically. And this is why we wanted you to see the continuity of time. See, you change things in the physical world in your consciousness. There's nothing else that any of you could find that is more powerful than your consciousness, because that's all that you experience. You can't achieve anything in your lives unless you understand the power that you hold within, and it's all in your thinking. And as you read the messages that we gave you a little mini course, actually, which we love. And as you read the little mini course, you will see that we kept leading you and leading you and leading you to get to this place so that you start to understand how powerful you are and how much you have to offer the world. But some of you hold back. And we're saying that we're getting animated because we want you to see the conditions of your world are because you've been holding back. You haven't been loving yourselves. You haven't been taking the steps that we've been telling you for years and years and years, but you don't hear it. But again, that's the part we want you to let go of, because many of you are having this self-judgment that you didn't hear it before. You will see in the messages that we gave you that there was one particular one that we said, oh, we gave you something and Roger didn't listen to it. See, that's because you all don't listen. And we pointed that out. And if you listen to that one, it was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago on the 15th of 2021. And if you listen to it, you will hear that we told you everything that is going on now. We're bringing this up because we want you to give up your judgment that you didn't know something before. It is a process, and you have to use your physical bodies to achieve that process. And it is in your thinking or your consciousness. And it is progressive, meaning that it develops over time. You don't get there all at once. And so stop judging yourself through that, because it's an energetic shift that your world is moving through. Now, the reason we said that this day was so important, and we had our messenger here even the other day record a video where we had him deliver his birth information, because we said some of you astrologers will find out if you take his chart and even the time of his birth and where it was, you will see that there is a connection to this moment in time, why he would be sitting in this chair and giving you this information, and why he knows it. Because you each have something within you that you know. We've said to you, and we brought it out in the very first, when we started giving you the specific information for this restructuring, on January 1st of 2012, we said you have infinite intelligence, you all do. But then we wanted to make it more vital and more real for you. So over the last several weeks, well, we've started last year, we said that, you carry information forth from your civilizations, from your beings, from your ancestors. You carry it forth, but you're supposed to make it better. We use that term because we know what better would feel like to you in your individual life. But once you start doing that, you put something into the collective consciousness that causes more of you to understand your importance. It's from each person. We've always used the term, we've always said, maybe you'll understand it now. We said there's no hierarchy of souls, meaning there's no one that's more important than you. You're not more important than any other person. You each are coming to that understanding, and that's why you're having a restructuring, because you haven't done that. And this is why the world looks the way that it does. You would never have to have the kind of weather conditions that you had if more of you were understanding your importance and how you contribute to your planet. You wouldn't have that. You would never have people starving to death if more of you would accept who you were, so that you could have this abundance that you could make the biggest difference. We know that there's been a separation in wealth and income, and we've talked about that often, but we can't get many of you to move, even our messenger here. But we finally got him to a place where he is now honoring the information that we have given him. We've said that we have given you everything, and he knows this. He's written down everything, and it's all in this philosophy. This is why when you watch him and you see him speaking to someone, and someone will bring up a question, and he'll stop and go and look at our writings, because we said we've given you everything. There's no answer that we haven't given you, but you take time to understand it and accept it, and then incorporate it, implement it, integrate it into your being. But that's what each of you are doing now. And we're saying this because this is a really powerful day. And you'll hear many people, other beings speaking about this. Now, there are many people who are giving information such as Roger and channeling and all of that. We did it in a different way. We did it over time. And we did it in a way that you would use your human brain, which is, you can only do it a day at a time, so that you find the result. And then we showed you the result of that in a being who has moved through every horrible thing and physical experience that any of you could imagine. And look at how vital and wonderful he is now. This is why we keep having him speak about his age, that he'll be 73 in November, and has gone through every physical malady that any of you can imagine, and then came out whole because of the information that we have given him. Now, that is a continuation. He's not done. He knows that. But he's transcended the ego things that many of you are still struggling with. And that's why he passes this on. But each of you are meant to do that. Each of you have something within you. It's your individual path, your individual journey that you are moving through. And sometimes you just judge yourselves because you think you messed it up or did something wrong. And that's the energy that holds back your progression and holds back the progression of your planet. And we're saying that because you're in this critical place now where you're trying to make a decision of which world you want to have. Because the world that you're creating now, as we told you also on December 31st of 2012, we said you were creating your future. And you do that by how much you decide to love yourselves. That's all. There's nothing more than that. And the hardest thing for you to understand is that when you decide that you're going to become abundant and love yourself and bring your energy into the world, that is the most magnificent contribution you can make. Now, we want to say something else because we can feel this, because some of you are feeling, oh, my contribution is too small. It's not going to make that difference. And that's exactly the thing that has led to the condition of your world now. You got too many people believing in inadequacy, too many people believing in inferiority. None of you have that. You have this connection to source that is ancient. Now, you're not going to access it like our being here, because as we've told you, he made an agreement coming into this incarnation where he was going to receive this information and bring it forth at the right time. And the right time is now. We didn't even have him, as we've said before, we had him call himself the reluctant mystic. You are all that because you have the abilities to reach that ancient wisdom that you have within you if you decide to do that. But you may not choose to live a life as he did because he had an agreement. You each have an agreement. And the agreement that you have is showing up now. And you know that you have achieved it when you start to experience peace, when you start to experience confidence, because this is what this new moon is about. You each developing more consciousness, but you got to let go of the old stuff. You have to let go of the judgments, the fear, the blame. The blame is coming up now. It's going to be really prevalent in your world now. We told you that the United States would lead the way on this restructuring, and many of you could not understand what we were talking about, but you're seeing it now, and you're going to see more of it, and it's going to be a little chaotic over the next several days, which is why we're doing this. We know what's happening. This is why we planned this a long time ago to get you here today so that you can understand it and bring a new energy into the world, and that's going to be of light and love, and it's going to be directed on you. You see, because when you feel that light and that love within you, then you give it to the world. You don't have any fear then. And we've told you from the very beginning, the reason we started doing these talks, and we had to convince our messenger to do them, as we've said, because you each hold back, he did the same thing. But we said that we wanted to tamp down your fear and doubt, you see, because you have too much of it, and that's what's in your world now. And so as you decide to love who you are, guess how that permeates? We've given you many things about the ripple effect that you haven't understood, but the ripple effect means that what you do in your lives, you give to others. It's an energetic contribution, and you're going to either give it to those around you, your family, your friends, whatever, but you're going to give it to someone. And so when you do that, the quality of the energy that you bring to the world is what makes the difference. And that's where you all are now. What we're going to do today, though, we're going to attempt to answer as many questions as we can, because many of them we've already answered. And as you read this, which we will have attached to this, we want you to read the message that we published today, but you are on the right track, because if you go through that, that will start changing your mind right there. Just reading that, if you give yourself the time. Now, we're saying giving yourself the time because many of you are living this world now where everything's so quick and fast. And you keep running around trying to get to the next thing, which is why we said, please calm down. And this is why we had our messenger change the program that we had given him to your last development program, because none of you need to do anything else except to sit and go within and decide to honor who you are. And that takes time. But when you keep discounting that and running to something else, or you give up, that's what many of you do. It's too challenging. It's too difficult. We're telling you it doesn't have to be. And we're trying to give you an example of the joy that you can experience when you move through all of the old stuff. And that's the work that we have given you. So now what we want to do is try to get as many questions as we can. And we hope we don't go over, but we're going to get as many in as we possibly can today, because this is one of the most vital, important days of your life. And when you understand that, you will not only make a tremendous contribution and start to experience a life of love and abundance and prosperity that you should have, but you'll also make a great contribution to your world. And in time, you'll see a difference. Now, don't get ahead of yourselves because you must be patient. This, you are a, okay, we need to give you this before we bring in questions. Okay, you are connected to the energies of your planet, your universe, the galaxies. They are changing. This is why we keep talking about the astrology of it all, or the astronomy, or the galactic movement, because when you understand that, you will understand the energies that are at play now and how you have access to them. But you're not going to get to that new world unless you start to access that within yourself. And that's why we've given you everything. And we just didn't do it over the last several years. We've been doing this for decades because we couldn't have proven our philosophy to you unless we gave you a being who is at his age and has moved through everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that it could work. You wouldn't know that you could have that result where you could just have fun, where you could be joyful, where you would be done with your anger, where you'd be done with your judgment. That's the work that we have given you. And we're going to be so pleased. And we are already so pleased with many of you. I want to say this because there are some of you who have come into our work now who are making this magnificent progress. And we are so pleased. And we want to give you that we want to give you that acknowledgement. And then you're starting to connect with each other. That is the age of Aquarius. And that's exactly what we wanted to bring about. And it's happening now. It's occurring. But you got to keep going a little while. So now we will allow the questions to come in.
All right. So the Q&A button is online and open